Hi, it's Sarah from You Floral, and today I'm going to show you guys how to make this beautiful baby's breath and rose centerpiece. Perfect for your DIY wedding. It's going to be great for your reception area. So let's go and make this puppy. So for supplies today, we're going to be using baby's breath. It's also known as Gypsophilia. I have 20 stems here. And then I have this vessel that I actually just picked up at the dollar store. It's a drawer organizer, if you can believe that. I have waterproof tape here. This is a floral product. I've got tin snips. I've also got my chicken wire. I've got these gorgeous roses, and then I'm also gonna need pruners. So these are the supplies you need in order to make the project. So then let's get started making it. So in order to fill this vessel full of baby's breath, we need some sort of mechanics to hold the flowers in place. So if you can imagine, if you just were to put baby's breath in here, because this vessel is so shallow, baby's breath would all just flop out and it wouldn't actually stay within it. So you can use floral foam or you can use chicken wire. There's a lot of talk about chicken wire and versus floral foam. Kind of the quick gist of it is that floral foam is a plastic product, and so it isn't recyclable. It ends up in the landfill. And the other thing about floral foam is because it's a plastic, when you're putting your stems into it, the stems inadvertently get a little bit of foam in them, and so they can't actually uptake the water as well as if they're in a chicken wire segment where there's nothing actually congesting the stems. So side note over, let's get to mechanics. So I cut this piece of chicken wire a little bit smaller, but it's still quite a bit too long for my vessel. So I'm going to kind of size it up and use my tin snips. And I'm just gonna cut this a little bit smaller so that way it'll fit into my vessel. You can pick up chicken wire at any hardware store, or you could probably pick it up at a feed or animal store. You can also get like floral specific chicken wire, which has a coating on it, but I just grabbed this stuff from a hardware store. The edges are pokey, so be careful of that. So now I've got my piece here. It's roughly the size of my vessel, and I'm gonna start to roll it into a cylinder shape. So the reason I'm rolling it is that way I have multiple points of contact for the flowers to actually nestle into. And then I have this end now where they're all kind of pokey and it is too long. So I'm gonna cut it down a little bit. Don't worry about not getting things right the first time. I mean, I didn't get it right the first time either. So there's totally grace in making flower arrangements. It's not about perfection or racing to get it done as fast as you can. This is really about creating art. Okay, we have a much better sized one here. So I'm just gonna tuck these ends in a little bit to secure the end. So you can see this is gonna flop if I don't have a way to sort of secure it. So I'm gonna use my loose ends and just tuck them around. So that way my cylinder stays in one place here. So let's put our cylinder into our vessel. Kind of tucking in the ends that make it a bit too long. And this next step is optional, but I feel like there's too much uncertainty in life, so I want to reduce uncertainty. So I'm going to take my waterproof tape and I'm going to tape the chicken wire in. So if you don't have waterproof tape, like, don't freak out. I just like to make sure that there is no risk of this becoming dislodged. This waterproof tape is actually kind of cool to work with. You can just, as you see, just rip it with your fingers like so, and then just place it over top. I'm trying to make sure it doesn't extend too far down the vessel because I don't want to see it. But my chicken wire is going to be covered by all my baby's breath, so that's not going to be shown. So there we go. I've got my vessel now with my chicken wire in it, and I've got my waterproof tape holding it all in place. So now I've got the mechanics set up. Now let's add in the baby's breath. So I'm gonna take my baby's breath now, and it has a tendency to get tangled, so you just kind of have to gently pull it apart. You might lose a bloom or two in the process. That's just kind of how life goes. And I'm going to cut it with my pruners, and I'm going to put it into my chicken wire. So the chicken wire forms a bit of a mesh which holds the baby's breath in place. Very common for baby's breath to have a section that's kind of like wah wah. So let's cut that off at the break point. And then I'm just gonna cut off this sort of random spear now and shove that into my chicken wire. So when you're starting out with this, it's going to be a little bit challenging to make the baby's breath actually stay upright because it doesn't have a ton of things to grab onto, even though we created this chicken wire grid. But as you keep going and keep adding in the baby's breath, it'll get more and more stable as we add in more and more flowers. You'll notice that I don't have any water in this container, and the reason for that is sometimes I'm a little klutzy and I end up dumping the water out of it. So I'm going to add in my water after. So this is a relatively straightforward centerpiece to do. All I'm doing is cutting my baby's breath. Oh, there's another piece that they get so tangled. Okay. So this one here has a bunch of different sprigs on it. Just cut it into a couple pieces and then just literally shove it into the chicken wire. You'll want to kind of take a look at it and make sure that you have the chicken wire in all the right spots, or the baby's breath in all the right spots, and just keep adding it in over and over again throughout the whole arrangement. So just keep on doing that. Well, this is what my finished product looks like with 20 stems of the baby's breath in this vessel. You can see that the chicken wire is pretty much hidden by all the baby's breath. So now I'm going to add in some roses. Obviously, this is totally optional, but I kind of like the look that it gives. So it's a good idea always to cut your stems a little bit longer versus shorter because you can never go back. I just pulled off these couple petals there because they were not in the best condition. And I'm just gonna encourage this rose to open up a little bit by doing a little bit of a shimmy and then giving it a little bit of a blow. That helps it to open up a bit. So I'm gonna just judge kind of size-wise, and then, oh, see, I cut it too long. So gently pull it out. Cut it a little shorter, and then just nestling it in to my grid that I've created. And I'm gonna add in a few more roses. Give it the little shimmy, the blow to help it open up. And I'm just gonna stick it in throughout. You could really put anything you wanted in this centerpiece to elevate the design of it, or I mean, you could even leave it with just baby's breath, and that is totally beautiful as it is. The nice thing about baby's breath is it will dry out super well. So you could keep this for however long you wanted to, and then you could have like a cool arrangement just in your living room. Just a couple more roses in here to kind of complete the look. I'm gonna put in 5, I think. Perfect. So they are all very sturdy in there now in the chicken wire. And so there is my arrangement. So the last thing that I'm going to do is add water to it. So I had said earlier that I didn't put water in while I was arranging because I was a little bit nervous about tipping it. So now let's add in some water. I've got this super cute little watering can I stole from my baby's bathtub, and I'm just going to lift up the baby's breath just to find a little spot and just pour in the water. So a tip as well with the water is that if you're going to be transporting this, because the vessel is so shallow, it can really easily lose water while you're transporting it. So I might even dump some of the water out before putting it in my car and then use my handy dandy water container and then fill it up actually at the venue. And I'm just doing another quick look to make sure all my baby's breath is firmly lodged into the vessel. And so that way it has access to water for all of it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed learning about how to make this baby's breath and rose centerpiece, and let me know if you have questions. Thanks for watching.